Greetings. Welcome to the 16th program of Stepping into the Light with your host, Ras Bish at Behil Radio and Kankadi Radio for the Tuesday, the 10th December 2024. Yes, you know how it is sometimes. The computer was recharging itself, so we just have a, couple minutes off the normal time start, but I hope that all our listeners and who they linked up, you have a little more time, had a little more time to link up your friends, families, loved one, whatever. Locked on now and we are ready to go. Yeah, we have a very exciting and informative program tonight. It's the 155th program overall since we started on the 1st of January 2021. So that was our theme song. So I welcome everyone by saying Ma to Tep to all listening and following worldwide this program. It's good to be here with you again for another program. Isis. Glory to the word, glory to the song, and glory to the power of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. Almighty creators of this universe, and I give thanks for your love, for your care, and for your guidance throughout the time, and for bringing I here for another program. Keep shining thy light into I path as I go stepping into the light and onto Mount Zion. Blessed be the rates of His Imperial Majesty and Her Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie and Empress Menen. One perfect balance. Blessed be the rates of I ancestors, the Neteru, which walk alongside I always, keeping I feet from slipping and falling, I hands from pilfering and stealing, and I mouths from slander and idle speaking. I calling the goddess Maat and the 42 divine ones from creation to keep all I people firmly on the 7 basic principles of truth, order, balance, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Give I life over death, light over darkness, mind over matter, and good over evil every time. Ashe. Yes, we all have to say thanks to the owners and operators of Behil Radio and of Kankadi Radio. I'm saying thanks as well to the sponsors of this program, and most importantly, to all of you, the listeners, yes, who make it a reality. Yes, good to have you again on this program tonight. So what are the happenings? You know, this is this program where you get the happenings that don't really happen on other programs, but these are the real happenings. CARDI, that is the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, had its day commemorating 50 years of existence in the region, and that day was commemorated in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on last Thursday, the 5th December. CARDI began in 1974, and it began in operating in St. Vincent in 1979. So we're going to look at a bit of reflections from that field visit, visit to the field station I made at Rabaca, and, give you a little update onto what took place there, given the time we have tonight. Okay, and we're going to look into, who visited, and the commodities that are being promoted presently, and the commodities which need to be promoted presently and going forward. The other happenings we're going to look at, I was reliably informed today by a colleague of mine, very trustworthy colleague, a senior colleague, that the deputy PM of this country said publicly, could have been a day or two ago, that agriculture is the most important thing, the most important industry in the world. He has acknowledged that publicly. And we're going to have some reasoning on why is he only saying this at this 20 years plus after his governing party and government stated publicly that agriculture is a thing of the past. So we're going to look into that a bit. And we're going to look into that from the aspect of the stone that the builders refuse has become the chief cornerstone, and what are the economic implications, the development economic implications of following that philosophy. I'll give you the adjectives later on, that philosophy. I will leave it there at that for now, that terms of the philosophy. We wouldn't qualify it by any adjectives right now. We are also going to have our usual biodynamic planting, gardening by the moon phase guide for the period Wednesday 11 December to Tuesday 17 December 2024. I had a very interesting question asked to me today, and I promised the person who asked the question, the pose of the question, that I will address it in this program because I saw it very fitting and a very, very important question. How should a national marketing corporation, that we used to call the marketing board, be constructed, instituted or established and operate? Okay? We're going to look into that. And we're going to look into that in some depth. I was also reliably informed by a close, very close, and another reliable brethren of mine that business, someone who does international business, that the international stocks and the stock market report of the report recently on the medical or the medicinal cannabis industry, which for the preferred use, has fallen significantly. The stocks have fallen significantly in the stock market. And many people are of the opinion that the industry could and would collapse real soon. Some reasons why, let's look at that. What is the real cannabis? We're also going to look at what is the real cannabis situation in St. Vincent and Grenadines and in the near region. Another bit of information. The other happening is that an Iranian-born Australian citizen, biotechnologist, and inventor, has made chemical-free compost, fertilizer, and pest management products from agricultural waste. Yes, that is a development that all people who follow and practice chemical-free farming should be very happy about and proud of the person. His name is Sam Jahangad. And as you would have it, he didn't choose this name for himself. This is his family name. As you would have it, to tell you how great Jah, the word Jah is, his name is, his surname starts with Jah, J-A-H, Jahangad. Yes, man, Jahangad, I would say. So he has developed in this time a technical, a way to make chemical-free compost and chemical-free fertilizer and chemical-free pest management products from agricultural waste. And I'm going to give you a little bit of that detail just now. He had also turned down, and this is the part that I find very interesting, he has turned down a $500 million US dollars. Anytime we speak about dollars in this program, you know it goes by US, right? Business deal from the United Arab Emirates. They wanted to buy him and his technology out and let him move his manufacturing to the UAE. He said, no way, I ain't leaving Australia. And why did he say that? Now, a lot of people say, some people say, boy, he chuppity $500 million, I could do this, I could do that. But you see, principle comes very high up, and remembering where it came from comes very high up to people like him. Okay? If you want to read the whole story, you could go to Scientist turns down 500 million to keep waste to compost technology in Australia. Briefly, I will tell you this. He migrated to Australia, he and his family, 17 years ago. He said at the time that Australia was the only country that offered he and his family nationality. And I'm not talking about citizens by investment program. I'm talking about offering nationality to a family that was financially struggling, but scientifically and otherwise well off, socially and so on. He grew up in a small Iranian fishing village in a house with dirt floors and no electricity. How many of us know that? That kind of living our 3 generations ago. Maybe some people even 2 generations ago suffered that. Yeah, we think we badly off here when we grew up in a boat house or something like that. But he grew up in a house with dirt floors and no electricity. But he put mind over matter. He studied at several European universities on scholarships because in the schools he went to, he was bright enough, as we say, intelligent enough to win scholarships. And he became a biotechnology expert focusing on aquaculture. He has now been able to turn feedlots, and you should know what a feedlot is, where you keep livestock and so on to feed them in the night or the day. You don't send them out to graze, but you take the feed to them, grass or whatever it is. He taking feedlots, food waste, yes, food waste, invasive weeds and species, and turned all these things into chemical-free compost, into fertilizers, and into pest management products. His formula for chemical-free compost reduces production time from 180 days, that's 6 months. And we know a lot of people still say you have to set up a compost heap and do this after this month and 6 months after you'll get good compost. But here what this process has done, it has reduced production time from 180 days to a maximum of 5 days. And he has done this using biotechnology. Bio means life, no chemicals, nothing at all. So that shows you, that should give some encouragement to the young people who are listening, and to the young people whose parents are listening, and they will tell them of the story, because you can't just go on Facebook, use now the Wi-Fi now and go online and look at TikTok. You have to look at something that will stimulate your mental faculties. So this is a good story to share with your children. Okay? Never despair where you come from and what poverty situation you face. Once you keep your mind over matter, the sky is the limit. And especially in this time, when the new vibes are coming in, who knows how many young brains we have in old bodies. Our ancestors are returning. So stay strong. So we're going to deal with these tonight. The first one I'm going to deal with is the CARDI issue. Yes, CARDI, Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, was formulated by the governments of the day, working together in 1974 to do agricultural research and development work regionally to support the agricultural sector. That is how serious they held the agricultural sector in the region at that time. It started in 1974, and it started operations in St. Vincent. In 1975, I was working with the Ministry of Agriculture. It was the final year of the junta government, headed by the late Sir James Mitchell, who was also Minister of Agriculture at the time. Yeah, so that was formulated then, and CARDI started working, and although they did not have an office here for those first 4 years, what they did was keep close tabs and work together with the research and the research department of the Ministry of Agriculture. And as I said in a previous program, that is how we tested and developed some new varieties of peanuts for our farmers who were losing money at the time, losing the local peanut. So they had their field day on Thursday. I eventually got there after lunch, not by design, but how it happened, because I could have been there at least 2 hours earlier. But in these days, although it was a Thursday, where 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, the generation before this one would know that. People who are in the 30s or older would know that. Thursdays used to be one of our busiest days economically for the rural areas, because it was a day when thousands of people got paid from banana money. I'm not saying banana farmers. I'm saying people, because banana industry employed a lot of people who are not farmers. Workers, people who worked on transport, people who worked with geese and the shipping people, all these people who worked in offices. So a lot of people, the economy of this country got tens of millions of dollars a week in those days. Pay that out to people working in the banana industry. So the economy was different. People were hustling. And on Thursday, there's no way you couldn't get a vehicle traveling between Orange Hill or Georgetown and Kingston between the morning hours of 10 to midday. No way. You would have so many to choose from, because everybody going and coming. But how now, you have to wait until the vans know they will collect enough people to make a sensible trip before they move. So that's how it is. So I have to wait all that time. Anyway, eventually got there, and I met still a great deal of people there, including students from different schools, especially schools that do agricultural science. I got there after the formal ceremonies had completed. And maybe that the ancestors had that by design, because that although it's important, that wasn't too interesting to me. What I would like to say about the formal ceremonies, I am not certain from what I heard that officially, I'm talking about at the parliamentary level, because parliament still represents a country. The opposition party was well represented or was represented. I said subject to, I'm not certain, right? And was given a chance to say something, because after all, CARDI is not a government institution. CARDI is a national institution, a regional institution. And in the protocol, everyone should be in, especially elected representatives, should be invited to these things and to have an official say in the ceremony. So I hope that that was done. So I didn't get there early, but I just hope that that was done. But I wasn't told that that was done. I was told that the minister, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, and the Honorable Parliamentary Representative for the area were there, and those folks supposed to be there also. They're there in their own right. But the turnout had farmers, a good set of farmers. Could have been more if more funds had been given to CARDI to assist the farming sector in getting there. People could have been, but they didn't have that. They don't have a budget for that as such, unfortunately. Because yours truly, as a past staff member of CARDI, and one of the few one still alive in this country. I shouldn't be looking for public transport to go there. Transport should have been sent to collect anyone in that position. But you know how things go in this country. Not blaming the people at Cardi at all. They are being their music is being danced to, but they not the musicians are not being paid. Let me put it that way. You will work out that parable. So Cardi budget does not allow for that. Anyway, people were excited by what they saw, and I was satisfied to a great limit by what I saw, because I know that they have just restarted on a serious note at the field station, and they are going forward. And they have a good team spirit. They have a good team and team spirit. Very, very important things. Very important. And I would say that that has to be strengthened going forward. They were very, among what I saw there are some, right now in the field, there are some dashing cultivars being varietally tested. Okay? And from the foliage, they were looking good, and the children were being explained to what was going on and so on. Sweet potato cultivars, several of them, different, particularly red skin and pink skin, which they are bulking up now so that they could give to farmers coming forward to expand our sweet potato production in different varieties with suit different ecological niches. Okay, agroecological niches. So that is where they're taking that. And that's a continuation of the work that Cardi did before. Cardi did a lot of work in sweet potato varieties in the early days, right here. Up to the Titus time, did a lot of work in that. Okay. They also had a greenhouse on display where they were showing some what is called climate smart agriculture. I don't really particularly use the term. I would say it's technology to mitigate the effects of climate. I see the smartness now being in the farmer and the farmers and the people around them. Well, say climate smart is, how they twist up these English words and so on. But they had two varieties of cucumbers that were, the fruit were on display and the cucumbers were, when you visited the room, the cucumbers are there. And the production system was planting in rows at a certain spacing and trellising. Trellising has been practiced in this country for a long time. We used to do that at Camden Park with the late Dan Miners. He did a lot of work on that. But we didn't have the greenhouse over it because at that time, the climate was not as irregular as this one. It was more predictable. So the workers built trellises, and we found that the production and the productivity of the cucumbers at that time, we used to use burpee varieties, were much better than if the vines were allowed to run on the ground. So it's a technology that I would encourage farmers to adopt and encourage institutions that finance farmers to finance the adaptation of that. You can't just say farmers should adopt it and then the farmers have nowhere to go for financing, which in a way understands why the farmers borrowing the money to do what. So they are more sure that they will retain their money and get to be repaid. They're investing in something which has great potential and a higher level of making a good commercial venture out of it. Okay? They also had varieties of tomatoes, and seedlings were there for people to get small quantities. And of course, a very encouraging note, they had some red onions seedlings also. And that is a crop that we must, well, I am working in it all the time, as I've been saying that in this program. The two allium species that we import here, totaling almost $3 million a year. That's a market that's right here for farmers. Nobody introducing them to that. Onions and garlic, over $3 million, nearly $4 million a year, every year importation, and getting more larger because people are now consuming more and in different forms. And we have people here like my great sister, the great herbalist, healer, medical person who helps dozens of people on a daily basis all over this country, trotting the street of Kingston. She is now into medicine using a lot of red garlic in several ways. So we have to make sure that that production of those things are done right here, and that demands like those and markets like opportunities like those haven't got to wonder where the supply is coming from. You know it's right here. Creating a new economy for our farmers and our value adders, like this business, and our consumers. That's where we have to go. Cardi also had some peanuts on show, and I was disappointed in the quality of the peanuts. Not Cardi grown peanuts, it's peanuts that they got because Cardi is still looking for planting material to start putting out that plot there, demonstration plot. But yours truly having worked on peanuts in St. Vincent for the entire duration I spent with Cardi from September 1980 to April 1984, and having taken the local peanut production and economy and marketing from a low level of about 33% of its capacity to its high capacity and over what actually was there in terms of yield, and bringing new technology to the market. I am totally disappointed in the level of support given to the industry today at all levels and of the results that the farmers have now. We produce peanuts that when they're dry and green, or when they're dry and parch properly. I am Camden Park here right now, and if a man at Lowman shell of peanuts and bite it, I could hear the crack from day to day. That is how farm peanuts are, because they had the right nutrients in them, the right fertilization, the right pest management, and the right genetics, and everything was there. And we were the leading quality-wise peanut producer in the entire region until you reach Belize. We and Belize, we were more efficient per farm than they did in the southern United States. Yes, could take that one to the bank. Right now, our shelling percentage is low. That means to say if you have 100 groundnuts, parched now, or even unparched, dried properly, you wouldn't get more than 50% with good nuts in them. And we know that if you do get less than 70%, you're not growing peanuts. In terms of shell weight to nut weight, shell weight should be, for every 10 pounds, shell weight shouldn't be more than 3 pounds. That's the point I'm making. We're getting too many pops now. Anyway, those are some of the main things that Cardi had on display. Sweet potatoes, dasheen, peanuts, cucumbers. The cucumbers I saw, they were lovely. I kept one for a long time just to test the shelf life. I'm still eating the final piece of it tonight, and I have it outside, not in any cool container or anything like that. Very firm, very attractive, and very nice to eat. Okay? So I hope that they could take this now and start getting some of those seeds commercially and make them available to farmers who want to do that. And that farmers will be supported to transfer the same technology in areas. You don't have to have anything big. You could make money from something small, but the thing is that you'll be making it often. Okay? Those who can grow it in the times of the year when you can grow it in the open field without the covering, but you still should use the trellising to make sure that you optimize the potential of the plant. Going forward, Cardi has to, when they supposed to be supported, let me put it this way, Cardi has to be supported financially and otherwise so that they can have on their field station those varieties of pigeon peas which Cardi itself created. They must also have the hot peppers which they created in Walkwood. That's the thing that we need to see in this country, right? So that farmers can get planting material and could get knowledge of the planting itself with technology to take to their farms. They must have the peanuts. Those are three important crops that Cardi worked on before, which need to be improved on now, supported to be improved on going forward. So that is where we like to stay on this present reasoning with Cardi going forward. More will be said in another time, but to big up all the Cardi staff and their team for making it an excellent day, excellent presentation. And the students who went there were satisfied. The last set of students, just before I close that crap, the last set of students that came there, they say they came late because, again, the system is not really supporting the schools, especially agricultural science part of the schools, the way they should be supported. Because philosophically, never mind what they tell you and when they rush come into election and so on, all of them are the same. Agriculture, philosophically for them, when she adopted this government in the early term of the first term, was a thing of the past, and it was said publicly. So they operated on that level, and they operated on the message from outside. The gatekeepers, the puppet masters from outside, that they must change the economically from agriculture to tourism. They didn't say to marry both of them, and they said to change it. So agriculture was described as a thing of the past. Publicly. Not so today, as we will hear going forward in the program. So in terms of that, the children got there after 1 o'clock, going to 2. Probably going to 2 o'clock, right? But they still saw sufficient to make them happy. And I had a small conversation with the teacher, very pleasant gentleman. And I made I told him something that we of the people who I'm working with, have been working with to help develop the agriculture in this country. And this thing will come to fruition soon. That we already have a plan to assist the agricultural science school, agricultural science classes, primary or secondary in this country, so that they will turn out a high percentage of their people would eventually end up working in the agricultural sector, either as commercial farmers or somewhere in the commercial production center, or somewhere in the commercial value-adding center, or somewhere in the commercial transformation, marketing, advertisement center, somewhere in the sector. Because we need an army of these people today. And the children were very happy to hear that. Okay. So that takes care of that. In terms of what the Deputy Prime Minister said And this one ties right in. I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm just going to show you the relevance of these things, how they tie up. What the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister publicly said, that agriculture, and this has to be less than 72 hours ago, right? That agriculture is the most important thing, the most important industry in the world. Well, at least that is true. What he's saying now is true. The question I ask myself, and the question which reverberates in the Cabinet Park community, and the children are asking that, I will make a now yet take for say that. Why didn't he make this public statement even 10 years ago? Why wasn't it made? That's the question that people should ponder on. I'm not going to opine anything on that. You just look at the country and you would know several reasons why it wasn't made. Okay? Now, here we have a country that changed its course from agriculture support, the support of the agricultural sector since its first term. And thinking that one hand could clap, this one hand now being tourism, started trying to form a musical band, so-called a national economy, with one hand. Well, today I was thinking about this one hand thing, and it's. I don't know if it came from a cyclop or one-eye person or what. But one hand can't play. Nobody play basketball with one hand. Nobody play netball with one hand, as far as I know. Nobody play test cricket with one hand. Nobody play guitar with one hand. You can't clap with one hand. You know, these things, so many different things you can do with one hand. So why you think that we could run an economy with one hand? Tourism alone. And not even a fully fledged tourism. So here we go, taking an economy which was generating $3 to $4 million a week from agriculturally related products, distributed among almost the entire population in this country on a weekly basis, and say it's a thing of the past, and replace it with something which is seasonal. November to, still we stretch it and say April, early April. Some people say, tax year, say, by we talk by April, by March, it thing done. Well, they wouldn't know because they're in it, so they will feel it. By if saying by April, right? You're getting 5 to 6 visits a week from a tourist boat. Less than 20% of the people on the boat come and show. And of the 20% that come and show, less than 20% of them spending money with the small people. And you expect that to run a country? I think the run you spending has a letter missing. And it's an I, R-U-I-N. Definitely could ruin a country economy. So here we are now. That is the stone, refusing the stone in that time. The builders refusing the stone. They say, no, we don't want agriculture. We'll build our economy out of tourism alone. And today, because of the reality of the time, the realities of the time, especially for the last 4 or 5 months, you never heard more agricultural activities in one country coming from the government side on this. Not from the farming side, because the farming side is a begging side right now. Wait and see. Most of it. Or a side that where a few people are trying to get their things together in an organized way without the support of the state. Because there's no support for you except 99% is mouth support. You see all kind of things happening now. All kind of things. People running all over the things, training with this, training with that. But it's not about these activities are not really about the real development of the agricultural sector. I mean, they're mostly about trying to regain political office. But whether they who regain or none, people still have to eat. And everybody has to eat at least 2, 3 times a day, every day. Never mind how long you say you could fast. You can't fast for more than a few weeks or even days in this time. All these stories that tell you about 40 days and 40 nights are in this time. You have to eat. And the sector that produces real food to eat is agricultural sector, no other sector. So agriculture is a thing of the present and of the future. So it's very refreshing to hear that publicly made by the Deputy Prime Minister, who himself has some scientific agricultural training and knowledge. And I would say, in my own capacity, better late than never. So, as some children want to know if you're clearing up your sling, to see that you are not heartically a part of the agriculture thing and the past philosophy. But it's the first time we're hearing it. So it's good to see it. Now, we are suffering here from the economic implications of following that, and I would use the additives now, evil and fraudulent philosophy. And I said it did not start here in the region, it did not start here in St. Vincent. It was dictated to from outside, and it was unquestionably and eagerly adopted by inside and put into place. And here we are today, looking at the carnage that it has caused, the poverty, the suffering, the insecurity, the dependence of people, the weakening of the division and rule, the destruction of all agricultural entities, especially where they are concerning organizations or groupings, which have scattered and some are now trying to get them act together. Even the state was saying not too long ago that it's trying to revitalize the agricultural cooperatives. So we know that these things are by design. And because of that philosophy, which I said is evil and fraudulent, a lot of people have become impoverished. A lot of people have even lost their lives, and a lot of people have lost interest in the system and in the sector. Losing interest in the sector is a bad thing. Losing interest in the system is a good thing. That is why the sisters say the Babylon system is a fraud. Yes, Mr. Operator, Babylon system is a fraud. Yes, the system is a big, big fraud. And here we will take a little break and let the station do some identification. And here got the word from our sponsors. And when we come forward, we get to right forward into the program again with your biodynamic planting gardening by the Moonface Guide.
Boost
So
our brand's
let's get
visibility
some
with
ID.
Branding by Weeks. At Branding by Weeks, we are passionate about helping brands gain exposure and make a significant impact. Let us elevate your brand's visibility and reach new heights. Connect with us today by email at spweeks@hotmail.com or message us on WhatsApp 613-866-8939.
Island Style Souvenir and Clothing Store. We carry everything you need in souvenirs. T-shirts in all different sizes, cap, keychains, key rings, plaques and banners, magnets, ID holders, mugs, and we even carry St. Vincent flag. And that's not all. We carry Hawaiian style t-shirts and dresses, handbags with matching scarves. We also carry tie-dye dresses, shirts and tops. Everything in our store are made right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So come on over and check us out. We are located at the cruise ship berth in Kingston, Island Style.
It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Kankadi Radio.
Boost your brand's visibility with Branding by Weeks. At Branding by Weeks, we are passionate about helping brands gain exposure and make a significant impact. Let us elevate your brand's visibility and reach new heights. Connect with us today by email at spweeks@hotmail.com or message us on WhatsApp 613-866-8939.
When in Antigua, travel with Orvan Bully Bus services between Pigot's Village and St. John's on Old Firearm Road. We also conduct island tours 7 days per week, all in comfort, style, and safety. For more information, contact Orvan Bully 1268-764-2869. That's 1268-764-2869.
Join your host, Ras Bish, for Stepping into the Light at Behave Online Radio and Kankadi Radio. Ras Bish steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibrations. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Ras Bish.
Yes, we are here again. And we're going to give you the biodynamic gardening, planting by the moon phase guide for the period Wednesday, 11th December, that's tomorrow, to next Tuesday, 17th December. And according to the moon phase, we are in the waxing gibbous. Waxing means it's getting rounder, increasing. The energies are going up in this time. The earth is exhaling. That is where the gravity is, the lunar gravity. Up, exhaling. And when it's exhaling, it's the best time to plant above ground crops. Started exhaling since the new moon phase. Now we are into this phase which started the day after the first quarter. And for those of us who look at the moon and see the moon, we saw that the first quarter was very beautiful. Very beautiful first quarter this season. So it's good time now to plant short crops, call them annuals, crops that bear once or twice or three times in a year. And this phase is particularly good for the fruit plants that produce fruits. Whether it's tomatoes or okra or sweet peppers or eggplant, these kind of things that produce fruit in this time. To set the seed, this is a very good phase, this is the best phase to set the seed. Also corn, you could plant corn, a lot of corn in this thing. And of course, flowers. Flowers including all flowering plants, including the blessed cannabis. It's a good time to mow lawns, to graft, and to prune. Okay? So this phase will go Wednesday, continue rather Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's up to the 14th. Okay? So you have these days left to do that kind of work. Tomorrow, if you didn't do them, you haven't done them before, the phase started. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. On the 15th, Sunday, the waxing period will come to its limit, and the moon will be full moon on Saturday. So from these activities, it's a time to rest, a time to celebrate. Yeah, you have to celebrate in life. And you have to meditate and give thanks And it's a great time to pick medicinal herbs and plants because what happened? They would be at their best, the highest strength with the moon reaching that highest gravity, lunar gravity, full moon. Because after that, it will be starting to wane. It will be waning. Still in the gibbous form, it will start to wane. So the medicinal properties of the plant are highest at this time of this phase of the moon. So all who have any reason to pick medicinal herbs, whatever the herbs, even if you're picking some broadleaf stinging nettle to dry, or some corelli, or you're picking some soursop bush, or some guava bud, whatever, Friday, Saturday, not Saturday rather, Sunday, full moon. Nobody say you can't pick them on Monday or Tuesday also, but to get the highest vibration from them, Sunday is the day. From Monday, it starts the waning gibbous phase. And the energies now start pulling into the earth. So this is the time, this is the phase in which you plant things which bear their food part in the earth, ground food, underground food. Okay? Root plants. But it's also a good time to plant trees, to plant shrubs, and to plant perennials. That is trees that will go for set for generations to come. So if you have a young child, 1, 2, 3 years old, I say about that, I don't go over that age for this purpose now. And you say you want to make them a gift and hope that they grow to meet something, plant a fruit tree, try a coconut, dwarf coconut. That would take 3 to 4 years to grow, start bearing. Sometimes even less than that now, the varieties they have. Some bear now in 18 months. So by that child comes in the primary school now, they have their own fruit. You say, Mommy, plant that for me. Daddy, plant that for me when I was young. I plant a mango so they can harvest some in times to come because I'm telling you, in times to come, the fruit will be much better quality-wise than they are today because we're rebuilding the entire agricultural system. I plant a citrus, get a lime. I mean, difficult to get good limes right now, but if you sort, you will find. Few people have them. Do something like that. Okay? It's a good time also to harvest all crops, to fertilize, to transplant whatever seedlings you have. So not because I'm saying it's a time to sow underground seeds mean you can't transplant lettuce seedlings or tomato seedlings or sweet pepper seedlings. You can transplant, but it's not the best time to plant. And there's a difference between transplanting and planting. Planting from seed is completely different from transplanting. Okay? And you should still mow lawns and prune. And the same thing goes for Tuesday. So you have 2 days, next Monday and Tuesday, then you are in the waning gibbous phase. You have a full moon, which is Sunday, and you have 4 days before that when the moon is in the waxing gibbous phase to set all your sweet pepper seeds, your eggplant seeds, your tomato seeds, these seeds will bear fruit. Your melons, plant your pumpkins, the squash variety, that sort of thing, okay? Fruits. Now, I was looking at where we're supposed to be, because that's the way I have to address it now. The old world is gone, the way you complain and complain. No, we have to say where we're supposed to be as a people coming forward from this couple of weeks left in this annual year and in this lunar month, this, right? Going forward, is that when we clean the roadsides like we did now, when we say we clean them up for a season, you know that is not the object. The objective now is just to clean to give some money for the people to spend back in the system. That's it. But the people have to be wiser than that going forward. All of us. So when we clean the roads as we did, are we doing now? We're doing over the last 6 days, or it's coming to the end of the 8 days, right? We don't leave these patches there. We clean them properly. Whatever little grass root need to be dug out, we dig them out. But at the same time, even before we clean them, we do it as part of a system where we tie it into, and this all is ties into the sort of tourism we have to develop going forward and the beautification of the country. Where we already have thousands, tens of thousands of these same thing I'm talking about. Shrubs and flowers and these things, and even food, to plant in those areas so they wouldn't grow back unattractive grass. So we wouldn't have to be going to doing the same thing all the time. What we'll be employing the same people to do from time to time is to weed and care them. But we're beautifying our country at the same time we're producing an additional source of food. So these areas, when they were clean just before school reopened in September, right? Well, a lot of them were planted with things like dwarf pigeon peas and sorrel. You know how much harvest we'd have been having now? Some of the areas planted, and then we beautify the areas with floral plants because we have a lot of horticulturists here who know what they're doing. So they could lead that, they could manage, you could supervise that production. So we don't just cutting things like that, because even though we're cutting all these grass from the areas, we're not using it to make compost. So going forward, I hope some young one who will hear this program 20 years from now, 17 years from now, 15 years from now, even 10 years from now, someone who is, or even 8 years or 5 years from now, someone who's at that level. Say one of these people in the one of these students in the technical agricultural college could decide and start following the path of becoming a biochemistry student and develop something like this Iranian brother who I told you about. That capacity is there into our people. And getting all this waste that we give the truck, we pay the truck people to collect and just dump, get it turned into effective compost in a short space of time. So we're replenishing. Right? But that is something that I see that we have to do going forward. Not just clean the place and leave it bare. Because if we have an unexpected downpour rain, a lot of that soil is going to end up in the drains and on the streets and cause a lot of problems. And in some areas, people started working this thing last weekend, right? And right now in Camden Park, some areas that were cut, the grass don't start growing again. So I am saying that we going forward have to adopt a different system and make sure that these places, in some areas, we plant scented plants that give you a nice perfume in the night. So we put another development in our rural beautification and in our tourism package. So when tourists drive through here to go to any resort or anywhere, they say, "Ooh, look at these beautiful villages. Look at the floral." That will attract some people here. We're not wasting time and give our people things to do. Okay, so that is for the future. But make sure that you do something with whatever seeds you have, because a lot of people got seeds, whether they got them from the system or they got them from yours truly. Make sure that you put something in the earth for food. continuing with the earth, I want to spend a little time on the issue that the brother spoke about, the marijuana. In terms of the stock market, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not at all surprised of that. But I want to say right now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, my personal assessment, and now it's the assessment of a few more people as I speak to them and they speak to me, is that we have had a distortion in the marketing production program that took place here. And it has had serious social and economic implications for who they refer to as the traditional farmers. And they're not just the traditional farmers, the traditional farming family, because every traditional ganja farmer has a family, a direct family, and an extended family, because whatever they got from the earnings didn't stay in their own home. It was extended in the entire community. Everybody could tell you that. And in some cases, way beyond the community. Now, what has happened is that we have had nationally a loss of between 60 and some people recently told me up to $100 million. So that we average it at $80 million a year, direct income, cash income from the sales of marijuana outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines into this country. A lot of it went into the rural areas. Not all, because people from all walks of life, from judiciary, right down business, insurance, banking, transportation, where all services get to share that money. And the people who operated the system make it look so easy. That right now you hear all this old talk about, oh, we haven't gotten any authority to bank our medical cannabis income from outsiders yet because of the big, our ordinary people make it look like a joke because always a solution to the pollution. But the fact remains that this money has been taken away from the rural sector. And not just the money, the product has been destroyed by destroying the germplasm, destroying the habitat, everything, and trying to get them from moving from the areas where they farm to near areas with promises that have not been fulfilled and could never be fulfilled by this philosophy. But the product, the thing I want to say is that the product now that has replaced it on the market is completely different and not half as good. As a matter of fact, some of it is not good. And a lot of the restlessness in this country, a lot of the lack of initiative among the people, and a lot of the crime, yes, we have done our social studies, we know, is associated to the lack of good cannabis among the people, the majority of people, and the introduction of this type of thing you call medicinal cannabis into as a commercial product for the consumption into the people. Because anyone who knows anything about the whole composition of what they call medicinal cannabis will know that it ain't got no vibes in it. No spiritual vibes at all. From the genetics right down to the distribution, none of it in it. So it's not the same product. It is not the same product. It's not making the people thoughtful and calm as what we had here before. It doesn't have the taste, it doesn't have the vibes. The people who we exported it to consume a lot saying the same thing. And when you combine that with the food, our food now, which is so low nutrient dense, you see the problems we have in this place. So our market, the message to our farmers out there, our traditional farming family, that our market is still there. What we do not have right now is a togetherness to develop the product for the market. But the market is still there, the demand is still there, the need is still there. What we have to do is to produce a clean cannabis, spiritually clean. You want a machine to clean the buds. This thing has to have human involvement from things. This is not an AI product we'll be developing, right? And we're developing it just like how the creators developed man and woman. Nothing getting feminized, no way. That industry is another fraud by itself. That's part of the system that Rima spoke about, but we ain't going into Rima right now. Okay? So we have to be very conscious, just like the food, which is fraudulent. A lot of what they're calling marijuana out there has been distorted genetically and it's fraudulent. So we have to be careful and we have to reclaim our economic status in this country, in everything agricultural going forward. And it's not hard to do because we have people who know how to do it. So we want to get into the question being asked, and very intelligent question, my brother. How should a national marketing corporation be constructed, instituted, and operate? And this question was asked by no less a person than my senior counterpart. I call him the Professor Hugh Stewart, a leading farmer in particularly banana farmer for decades in this country, an agricultural graduate himself, a former senior officer of the Ministry of Agriculture, former manager of the Richmond Vale Estate, a former Geese Windward Islands employer, and of course a former chairman of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Banana Association, and a board member for umpteen years. Yes. So we had a marketing corporation established here since in the 1960s by an act of parliament. That was in the Cato Joshua era. Okay? People used to call it marketing board. Same, never mind the terminology, the same institution. And what that did in the early days was to organize farmers, organize markets first, start with the marketing. It's a marketing corporation, so it started marketing. Use marketing information and developing market contacts and identify commodities which are needed regionally and extra-regionally. And arrange with the buyers outside to supply them using certain specifications, quality, size, quantity, regularity, that sort of thing, packaging system. And in times, they were awarded our country, not the marketing corporation, but our country, because of its level of proficiency in certain commodities, was awarded within Carifta first and then CARICOM the honor of producing for export regionally certain commodities, which included sweet potatoes, which included at one time peanuts and so on, you know. And the marketing board was responsible for these commodities, the organization of the production, the organization of the marketing, the collection, the marketing itself. And from time to time, several commodities were added. And it facilitated other people also in exporting small private people, their products. So it provided an outlet, wholesale outlet, buying outlet for farmers of all sizes, for non-banana products, because the banana had its own market in the time. And people would tell you, I'm going to sell this to marketing board because it went in the rural areas and collected these products. It had several buying depots. Carrots was one another big commodity that it did from the late 60s right up until the late 80s. It also did onions. You see, like now, in the late 1980s, the people of North Leeward, particularly Chumuka, Rose Hall, and Belmont Leeward, would have their onions in the ground now growing with a contract, a written contract for the marketing corporation to supply them onions early in the new year. And the French technical mission would be working with them to assist them with the drying facilities. All these things were done. I know a lot of young people don't know that, but I'm giving it to you now. All these things were done right here before. And so the marketing corporation dealt with that. It also took, the marketing corporation also marketed locally a lot of produce from the then owned government estates. Camden Park, Richmond Vale, Wallilabu, wherever it was. Even some from areas like Three Rivers and these places, whenever they had excess products, the marketing corporation would take it and do the marketing. It went into, in the late days, it went into a lot of fresh produce. It even marketed fish from here. Yes, fish was sent from here in the 1980s and 1990s from the Kingston Fish Market. That became under the marketing corporation, fresh produce division. So it served as and it introduced new commodities. Like I told you last time about the hot peppers, by air, making use of the Amerijet on a weekly basis. I don't know how much product we put on the Amerijet weekly now. You don't hear much about it. It's all, every time you hear about a plane, I'm not saying it doesn't come here, but if you hear about some plane that taking tourists, but you don't hear about any plane that taking food. Okay? So going forward, several things have to be put in place. First of all, there is need. Nobody at all could question the need for an institution which does marketing of agricultural products, a national institution. Nobody could question that. That's right there. And even the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister acknowledged that tacitly. And when he says agriculture, tacitly acknowledged that when he said agriculture is the most important industry in the world. He was sending a message. I hope who he sent the message to hear the message and get it. So we have to make sure that to do that, several things in this band, because one hand can't clap. So you need harmonization of the music and you need different musicians in this thing. So the farmers have to be trained, have to have development training and organization within the areas. right? And then even if you have to do it in commodity, you could do it several ways, including commodity organizations, right? You have to have a semblance of the real information of what is out there. That means we need an agricultural census ASAP to tell us this is the amount of land that we have idle. This is the amount of land that we have in crops. So we know potential. This is what is needed. This is the amount of agricultural feeder roads we have. This is what we need. So much more we need. These are the amount of farmers and farm families we have. These are the registered ones. These are the unregistered ones. And why are they unregistered? And so on. And we get along and we get all that data in. So that information has to be lodged with several places, but including, very importantly, that entity that they're going to set up, the marketing corporation, because what they're going to do is to organize marketing production of certain commodities along with other institutions. So that's the first thing. You have to have an effective agricultural staff, both public and private out there, to assist the farmers in what they're doing. The Ministry of Agriculture and its counterpart organization like CARDI, well, CARDI is doing an excellent job, but CARDI cannot be left on its own just to do it by itself. CARDI needs also to have supporting organizations which they could call on from time to time to expand their research and development and to get it out there to transfer it to the farmers. So the Ministry of Agriculture itself has to be funded much better and managed much better, that the technical people have a chance to do what they're supposed to do. And so that the planting material, which we in this country now have to have a more hands-on activity and handle it, develop our own seed farms and our seed producing areas so that we have what we need. And don't worry all these fancy things about you're going to take that and make tissue culture. You see, we adopting technologies that are suitable for countries with hundreds of thousands of square kilometers to plant food. We have a small area here. We don't need to get into these things because these things have their weaknesses in them scientifically and otherwise. We used to do very well here with our bananas when we did proper sucker selection. We didn't have all these things that we finally do today. Moko and black sikatuko and all. We didn't have that because our genetic material is better, more diverse, so on. And apart from that, our farmers took great pride in caring the plants. Today, with these things that are so fragile, by the time one catch a cold, the whole family catch a cold and everything goes down. We developed a significantly important root crop industry here by using the same technique that CARDI started with in the 70s. Yes, the same technique they use for root crops and so on. We could do that again. We could do that again and do it in many different places and make sure that we redevelop our root crop industry to meet our domestic needs and our regional market needs and our export market needs. And you don't have people crying out like, no, why should we be crying no in this country for a shortage of sweet potato? Shouldn't be. Because everything is in disarray. We getting a cacophony of song. We ain't getting music. We have no harmony in this band right now called agriculture in this country. The bass man don't know the trombone is playing. And the trombonist looking at the saxophone man like if they're playing from two different music sheets. And none of them following the drummer. So we all over the place. We all over the place in this agricultural sector. So those are things. Then the financial sector now has to be brought on board to show them. By the way, I don't know how many agricultural on lending institutions or potential agriculture on lending institutions were at Cardi Day on Thursday. But these are where they need to send people, and these are where they need to be invited to send people. So that when you go there and you see the potential, the commercial potential of certain commodities, when farmer X, farm family XYZ come by you to borrow money to invest in certain sort of thing, you should already have an idea of what that person is talking about and the potential for generating cash and repaying. You shouldn't be guessing in these things. That is the sort of institution we need. And a marketing cooperation could stimulate that sort of interest by getting these people sitting down at the pre-planning stage and showing them exactly what is happening. Okay, we have a market for avocado pears. I'm just calling a commodity. The competition is very low in the winter months from the cool months from October to March. We could sell so many 100 tons of this product at this price if we had it. What we need to do, we have the environment here to produce it. We have farmers who are willing. What we need now is the financial support to the farmers to do that. When the bank person sees that and they understand what's going on, if they want this salt, they understand that the bank has everybody has an opportunity there. And once the right agricultural production and harvesting and post-harvest activities go in place, then that institution is reassured of its money. Because what is going to happen there is that the marketing corporation, remember the payment is not going directly to the farmers, it's coming to the marketing corporation. That's how it operated the last time I was there. And the deductions for the institutions coming from them to the institutions, it doesn't go to the farmer then goes and pay it. No. What the farmer receives is the money left after his or her cost of borrowing has been met. So they are not to worry. When you get money in your pocket, you go home, you're feeling nice. That's yours. You ain't owe nobody. You already paid for that. You get that. Your payment was that plus what was taken out for your cost, the debt you have to repayment. So that is the sort of system we have to develop in the marketing cooperation. And the management and the running of it has to have nothing to do with partisan politics. It is for all farmers, regardless of race, ethnicity, political preference, yes or no, religion, whatever. No, these things they cannot come into the mix. It's strictly in terms of economic development, marketing and production organization. Okay? It also has to reach in a way where it could facilitate all the aspects of that system. Like what happened in the onion and garlic time, it has to be financed. It has to have the finances, the financial power. Whether they draw them from, I'm going into that area just now, to expand the post-harvest facilities, like whether they need drying racks or drying sheds or whatever. Those things have to come into place. Right? It also needs to work with the Ministry of Agriculture and the inputs people, whether it's government control alone or both government and private, to specify the products needed to develop the commodity for which the market has been identified. So that the farmer does not use something which is not required in the market to produce the products from which he's going to sell. So all these things have to be put in place properly. And of course, it has to work with the phytosanitary division of the Ministry of Agriculture very closely. Has its own staff, but both of them working together. So by the time you hear that music play, you know, yes, it sounds like an opera. No song like no old time thing where you can't find the beat. It make you want to dance. And in this case, dancing means participating in the agricultural sector in some way. So that is where we have to go in terms of rearranging the specifics for the new marketing corporation establishment that we have to work with. In terms of its financing must come from a variety of sources. And this is where you need people who could organize joint ventures to be employed. Because the state would not be in a position, hardly be in a position, and you don't really want the state to be in a position to be financing all of this. This has to come from both private, when I say private, I mean like local people and our people in diaspora. Our people in the diaspora now, they hardly invest in these things. They have to be informed and encouraged to invest in these things. So we set up our own stock market for these things because people doing it. If you could set up a little investment here for foreigners coming to plant medicinal marijuana here, using our environment, because that's the main advantage you have here, using our environment, which is among the best in the world, to produce these things, where they could grow it 366 days a year, not even 365, 366 days and nights a year, without having to resort to any heat in this or heat in that, then we should be able to attract investment here, starting with our own people in the diaspora, starting with people in the region, starting with people locally, to develop our agriculture, production, value adding, harvesting, value adding, and marketing 365 days a year too. Because following, not just according, because the honorable gentleman, obviously got it from a good international source and it's out there. Everybody knows now. Everybody who knows that agriculture is the most important industry in the entire world. Okay? So we have this gift in our hand, which was given to us by the creators millions of years ago, and we're not using it. The gift of one of the best structured soils in the entire world right here. The gift of still having an annual rainfall averaging over 90 inches of rain a year. The gift of clean, fresh running water. The gift of air, which is only unclean when the people who let go these things into atmosphere, they decide to let go these things. But we can take care of it because even plants could be produced now to get rid of that. The gift of human people from here, people willing to work at all sectors. And we're not putting all these attributes together to develop what we could develop. We're more than wasting time. We are more than wasting time. So I'm going to call right now for that second tune I asked for. If you can bring it, because we need to inspire the people with some music. We need to inspire our people with some music. Because forward we have to go. We ain't going anywhere else. We're not going anywhere else. So over to you, my brother. Yes, they did it all the day. Did it all the day. And that was for the younger ones, that was from one of the old veterans, Peter McIntosh Tosh, one of the original whalers. Yes, all these things would happen. And there would be less scramble. Doesn't mean that you're getting rid of money. You have to listen it carefully to where you're coming from. But the rat race would end. And you wouldn't see the scrambler going on now in countries like this one for the dollar. Where even family getting vexed with family. If you look at the taxi drivers, the van drivers now, scrambling, trying to pull passengers, bag out the hand. You right with me, right with me. You know, like if it's a real rat race going on for these things, just to make a living. Anyway, we have to make sure going forward that we develop things in an orderly way. We have the short crops, we have the medium crops, and we have the long-term crops. One of the things I forgot to tell you about Cardi, one of the commodities they had out there, which they started on recently, a few years ago, is the promotion of the coconuts, the water coconuts. Not so much the oil nuts, but the water coconuts. Not that they couldn't make oil from them, but they have some varieties that are very good. Very good. And these coconuts will bear, as I said, in a short time, relatively speaking. But the project needs to be financed properly and expanded properly, not by Cardi. Cardi could supervise, but by the state on its lands and on farmers' lands, so that we could optimize the regional and extra-regional market demand for coconuts. Coconuts is it's real good money, and it's long-term money. So we need facilities which will develop the planting material, that is that facilities where you will grow coconuts not for sale as commercial drinking coconut, but grow them for plants. And if one coconut tree produces between 200 and 275 nuts a year, and you have 70 of those trees to an acre, 69, 70, that's the density. Okay, so 70. And you say even if you produce 200 each, 200 by 70, that's 14,000 plants. You get in there. So you could expand the acreage real quickly if we do that. Because the demand is there, the market demand is there, and it's something that will be growing generations. So 2-3 generations of the same family could come and benefit from that planting. That's the way we have to think going forward. And that is the sort of thing that we have to put in place. And these are some of the things that the marketing, the new marketing cooperation system could assist with. Identifying commodities, identifying market opportunities, and then using the marketing production strategy to put things in place to make sure everyone benefits down the road. That's how it has to do. And when you do that, you don't want no partisan political interference and any outside foolishness to tell you this won't work and that won't work. And instead of trying it, you just believe. And then a whole set of people perish. Can't go down that way. Also have to make sure that the inputs are the correct ones. And as much of the inputs that could be produced locally is produced locally. So we're mashing up the whole concept of value chain, and we're putting a value system in place. We getting rid of all them chains. Nobody chaining us up again. Nobody. Never mind what so-called prestigious university you come from with your neo-colonial mental slavery philosophy. We're not in that again. We're out of that. And we are using our resources naturally and getting the resources that our other people have outside that we need that will heal the people of this earth. And when, like today, you have a tourist boat in the bay, people just, spoke to a few tourists in town today. Several of them told me they're from France, and we had a little, we didn't speak in French, which I could do a bit, but we spoke in English and we got on the same ground. They admire the beauty, but that's all they could admire now because the product doesn't have much in it. But these people should be enticed to be spending some of the money that they bring with them in these countries, and that is how our country would benefit from tourism, not from people just walking up and down the tongue and they hardly buying a poster, a picture postcard or something. We want people to come here to buy our food because our food must have a reputation as being the best, even better than the food that they have in their country. We could do it. And that is where we have to take our agriculture. That is what one of the opportunities our agriculture afford us to do. So we have to forget about those foolish policies of the past. We can't live in the past. We cannot live in the past. You know? And the only thing to get us where we want to go, to that level, where we attract people coming here, the boat that land here today, if it brought 3,000 passengers, 2,500, whatever, the only capacity by saying, okay, we should be in a way that 80% of the people on the boat on that boat would want to come ashore. Because what? Because of the repetition they hear about St. Vincent in terms of its natural beauty, one, its food, affordability and taste, and nutrient density, its marijuana, because of its curative properties and so on, its people, because of their love and welcoming, right? And the general ambience, and it's, that is what they will come for. That is what they come ashore to do. And feel good. And even more time to time, its culture, including its sport. Because even this test match coming up here, this cricket coming up here between Bangladesh and the West Indies, we should have been able to pull 10,000 people into this country, regionally, checking people regionally, internationally. That is the sort of pull we should have if we have the right package. If we had the right package attached to it. But then, only thing what it takes to do that now is a revolution. Not a gun revolution, a cultural and mental revolution. Yes, yes, yes. No weak heart conception, none in this time here. What are that way there? Rise up, my brethren, rise up. Yes, we, the people, we have to make sure we clap with both hands going forward. Okay? We have to make sure we work together. We can't let any stupid ism and schism divide us. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. Not in this time here. You can't live in the past and not trust no shadow after that. Okay? Going forward, because we're moving from the darkness and we stepping into the light. All right now, I want you to stay strong. Make sure you plant something, even in a small, small pot. Until next week. Exodus.